Yeah, let's do it.
Blake Gordon, welcome to the incredibly cool podcast studio that we have here at the iSigma. Welcome.
Thank you very much. It is incredibly cool. We're in the back of a truck right now.
I know, we're in the back of, not just any truck, we're in the back of a shred truck.
That's right, a shred truck. That's right. That's not currently shredding or driving.
It's
so
not,
that's good.
But
yeah.
right there,
Yeah.
and nobody can see this on camera, but right there's the auger for the...
Oh, yeah, that is. Yeah.
Yeah, So tell us who you are, who you work with, what you're all about, and then we'll dive in.
Sure. Yeah. So I am Blake Gordon. I'm the general manager of digital trading for Georgia-Pacific Recycling. So GP Recycling, we have a bunch of different names. Essentially, what we are is we are the sourcing arm for all the recycled content that goes into Georgia-Pacific products.
Right.
Right. So we're actually one of the largest traders of recycled content in the world. We move about 100,000 tons of recycled material per week. So what I do is I lead customer experience and marketing and digital trading. I kind of like to think about it as I try to make it as little of a pain in the ass as possible to deal with us, as little as possible, right? So trying to make it easier for people to really get paid for their material, that has value, and understanding that.
And so let's take, because digital, you said you're the GM of digital.
Yep, digital trading. Yep.
So what do you mean by digital trading versus non-digital trading? What's the distinction?
Yeah, the recycling industry is, probably very similar to the document shredding industry. Is very analog by nature.
Very much.
It's very relationship based. It is commodities trading, but we're not talking about trading corn and oil and steel, right? It's recycled steel. It's recycled paper. So, whereas you might get that bale of commoditized steel, and what's in there. It's all stainless steel,
Right.
You buy a bale of metal, there could be some aluminum, some, all kinds of a label, maybe a rat, you never know, right? So it's very relationship driven. It's very analog traditionally. It's very handshakes, phone calls, emails, text messages. But, there's certainly portions of it that we feel like we can still maintain that relationship and digitize some of it. So that's what we're here talking about is, first of all, introducing ourselves to more of the audience here for document shredders, making sure that they're getting paid a fair price for their material. But also some of the ways that we're trying to make it easier to work with us. So through these digital tools like Hubit, which is our online buying platform. And that provides upfront pricing for about 50 different materials. You can go in there and you can transact. You don't even have to talk to anybody if you don't want to, and you can sell your material.
Really?
And then the other platform we have is our self-service platform. So that's on, once you've already transacted with us, once you've already sold us the material, then you can go in, you can get your certificate of destruction, you can get your ETAs, you can set up your pickups, all that kind of stuff there. So
you're buying in massive volume. So let's just play with a couple of scenarios here. Let's play with, say, a shredder who's a small operator who has like a baling plant. That's all they have.
Yeah.
But they're not producing tons of paper. How would they best work with somebody like you? Like a small, we're talking a smaller, but they're not sending it to like the local recycling. They're not just dumping somewhere.
Right.
They're bailing themselves. How would that work with you?
Honestly, if they're bailing themselves, that's almost even easier to deal with us. If you're bailing your material, you are making it so much easier to transport, and that's what it's all about here, right? Is the freight. The freight can really it can really eat into the value of the commodity. Let's be honest, So if you're bailing it, you're now packing a more dense truck. That's just the most efficient way to move it. So that's fantastic. You're most of the way there if you've already got bailed material, and we'd love to buy it. We'll come pick it up from you. We've got the logistics. We'll be there on time, all that kind of stuff.
So, but coming back to the digital side of that,
yep.
Like how would a small operator like that, they get connected on your system, and then they go in and say, I have a full truckload now. I've got enough for a full truck.
That's right. Yeah. So all the upfront price you see in Hubit is for baled material full truckload, which is 20 tons roughly, roughly 40,000 pounds. And you'll see that price. You can lock in that price because it does fluctuate, right, based on demand. And then we'll set up. You can set in your desired pickup dates, and we'll coordinate all that to come get it picked up from you and move it on. Even if you have, less than a full truckload, we can still get you a price within Hubit. You can request it, and we can respond within Hubit with your price, for a less than truckload even.
Got it. Okay, so you've got a digital platform to do that. But let's say we get into a more established operator who's maybe plant-based shredding and they're processing a lot more material. Does it work differently, or is that much more back to the analog way where we got these deep relationships, we sign long-term contract? How does that one work?
Our whole mantra is we want to serve you how you want to be served.
Got it.
Right? That's why we built these tools, was to make it easier for our customers. Right? I'm in charge of this customer experience, trying to make it less of a pain in the ass. We know it's not first nature, right, of this kind of stuff. We know a lot of people aren't getting up in the morning and wondering how much their paper's worth, how much their shredded paper, right? Some people might. We do. But
I know a lot of people in this industry who get up and wonder how much the paper's worth.
Good. Well, let's talk to them.
They think about it.
Yeah, so if you get into that, you've got consistent supply. We've got a couple different options. We can set you up. We've got Elizabeth and Cody here, who are in charge of our Southwest and our Midwest regions. And we've certainly got, account managers for the other regions as well. We can set you up with an account manager who can, get you that consistent pricing. You can get an agreement and scheduled pickups, all that kind of stuff. Or if you want to continue trading on Hubit, that's totally up to you. If that's,
So generally, is Hubit going to give you better pricing or roughly the same pricing? It's just a different way of accessing it.
Yeah, it's roughly the same pricing on average, yeah. But it's calculated all the way down to your zip code, so it incorporates the freight. Every price you see in there is a picked up price. So that's the price you're going to get per ton, and it'll give you a full calculation of the full load as well.
So let's say you're and this is a question weirdly that I've never answered. So let's say I'm a shred truck operator, small startup, and I don't have a baling plant, and I've got to bring my paper. Do you have depots? Like what? How does that work?
Yeah, so we've got some different options there. We've got plenty of partners where you can drop it off, right? We've got some plant partners, recycling facility partners where you can drop it off that we're always buying from. We can set up that agreement. You can still work through us if that's easiest for you. We can make that connection. We can also get you a baler. We buy so many balers all the time for our mills, our facilities, that we have just fantastic agreements with some of these baler suppliers.
Really?
We also have used balers. We have lease options, all of these kind of things, because it's really mutually beneficial, right? You're getting more for the material because it's baled and it can move quicker, and we can move it easier, So it's definitely something that we lean into all the time. We're always, sourcing balers for people and putting them in, and we'll come in. We'll install it for you. We'll make sure it's connected properly. We'll train you how to use it, all that kind of good stuff.
So in a situation like that, if you bring that, is there like a lease repayment program, or how does that work with you? Does that separate it from the paper itself, or how does that
you can
work?
do it either way.
Okay.
You can do a straight out lease with us, or we can do a supply contract.
Yep.
And to where we can just basically remove the cost of the baler out of what we're paying for the material for you. That a lot of people like to opt into that because then it's kind of no cost for them really. And then again, it works out for us because we're always looking for more supply. We've got the demand. We need the supply, and and this audience is perfect for that, right? With shredded office paper, all that that we love that stuff. So. If we know that we've got consistent supply, then that's great. Again, we're all about that mutual benefit there.
Yeah. So are you guys doing anything new and different? Obviously, the digital platforms that you're doing. Is there anything else that, if somebody's kind of new to the game, and they know that I can sell my paper, like, is there stuff that you're doing that may be a reason to call and talk to you? Like why should I come to you with my paper?
Yeah, I mean, one of the things that I'm learning and talking to a lot of people is it's not this front of mind problem for a lot of people. So they need an outlet for it, and they reach out to the first logical person, maybe even the first person that contacted them. And they've been fine with that person, but what they're not realizing is what they're not being told, what they're not getting. And I'm certainly not saying that about anybody, but you never know what else you could get, what kind of price you can get. And we are a direct mill buyer. They go directly into our mills, right? So that's what we're finding to be interesting, is that people have an outlet, but are you really getting paid the fair market value of your commodities is really where the conversation should go. Are you moving it in the most efficient way? And that's really where it can be highly beneficial to talk to somebody like Cody or Elizabeth. And, if you're here, come stop by our booth and we'll talk to you. But we can do a waste audit. We can come out and see what you're moving, talk about the other. And the other thing to keep in mind, even though we're Georgia-Pacific, even though we are a forestry products company, we also move metals and plastics. GP Recycling does. As you LDPE film and different types of ferrous and non-ferrous metals and such like that, that we are a one-stop shop. We'll buy it all. So
very interesting. So I hate to even go into the subject, but it's part of the deal, which is paper pricing.
Yeah.
Everybody 6 months ago is complaining like it's the worst year ever, and now it's back up and it's relatively solid. I'm not holding you to this, but what's your side of the industry seeing as where it's going maybe over the next year? And I realize we're in crazy economic times. Who knows what's happening? But what are you guys seeing? Is there solid demand? Pricing will stay relatively. I know it's a commodity, so it's up and down. But I don't know. Do you have any projections?
There's a couple jokes I can make here.
Yeah,
I think they rely upon what's the latest tweet,
right.
on the tariff and all that kind of, or my crystal ball that I probably shattered at this point.
Yeah.
A lot of it, we're seeing it relatively flat right now, and there's a lot of just wait and see.
Yeah.
Is what we're seeing.
Yeah.
There's the export and domestic push and pull, right? And a lot of that with the tariffs is. We just don't know yet.
But you feed your own mills, and so differently than, say, just a buyer who buys, consolidates, and then ships it to you. You're feeding your own mills. Do you guys have a lot of demand? Do you have enough pipeline, essentially, to keep your plants busy?
Oh, yeah. We're always buying. I mean, we are definitely going to be buying in the near future. So if that answers your question, we have the demand. Let's put it that way for sure.
Okay,
and
cool.
we want the supply, so bring it to us.
Blake, is there anything else you meant to tell me that you didn't tell me?
I don't think so. If anybody is interested in Hubbit, if you don't mind, I'm going to do a shameless plug.
No, please.
It is Hubbit GPR, so HUBBIT GPR.com is where you can go. You can sign up for a free account.
Okay.
If you're just interested in, hey, I've got an outlet and I'm already selling, I'm happy with the person, you might as well go in there and see what you could get, and we can start a conversation. I would welcome everybody to come in and do that, and we're always looking for new suppliers.
Fairly cool. Well, thank you, man. I appreciate your time and giving us insight into what's going on at Georgia-Pacific. And,
absolutely.
Thanks for being here.
Thanks so much for having me.